The Lord has asked me to deliver this urgent message to you. You're about to discover something that's been hidden for over a decade. There is a person, a specific soul, who has been looking for you for 15 years. And the reason for this search is directly linked to the purpose that God has placed in your life. Have you ever felt like there's a space in your heart that no one can fill? A nameless restlessness? This feeling is not for nothing. It is proof that something powerful is about to happen. Stay until the end of this video, because what you hear now can transform your destiny forever. From a very young age, you feel as if something calls you. Maybe he couldn't explain it in words, but it was like a silent voice whispering deep in his soul. A feeling that someone, somewhere, was waiting for you. That something needed to be completed. That his story still had a hidden piece. This spiritual calling is not a figment of your imagination. It has been issued for exactly 15 years. God marked that time. A connection was activated in the unseen world. But the time of manifestation had been postponed. Until now. The person who is looking for you has been guided by dreams, visions, and signs. And even without knowing your name, she knew you existed. That you were part of something bigger. Something that surpasses human understanding. Many times, you have missed something you have never lived. He cried for someone he didn't know. These tears were not in vain. They were responses from his soul to a call that came from heaven. With each passing year, this person prayed, sought, and asked for direction. As you walked through deserts, she also faced hers. But God was writing a story of reunion. Now, after 15 years of silence, heaven is releasing the time of revelation. Have you ever wondered why, even surrounded by people, you still feel alone? Even in moments of joy, there is a twinge of longing. But of what? Whose? This feeling is one of the clearest signs that your soul is connected to something that has not yet manifested. It is the mark of what God is about to reveal. During those 15 years, you have tried to move forward. He got into relationships, made friends, sought advice, occupied his mind with activities. But deep down, there was always an empty place. This emptiness has a spiritual name: dormant promise. It's the space reserved for someone God specially appointed to cross your path. And they've been looking for you ever since. You tried to fill that space with wrong people, crooked paths, temporary distractions, but nothing fit. And do you know why? Because what's in store for you can't be replaced. Heaven does not work with substitutions. It works with destiny. And now, that destiny is on a collision course with your reality. Get ready for the greatest spiritual reunion of your life. Write now in the comments, "I feel this calling. I accept God's plan for my life." Declare it as an act of faith. Because every word you write here has the power to unlock what was retained. Even before you were born, there was already a promise about your life. In the spiritual world, God established alliances, outlined purposes, and placed strategic people to cross his path. This person who has been looking for you for 15 years did not come about by chance. It is part of a plan that has been sealed before the heavenly throne. As you walked the earth, the heavens had already registered the encounter. And when that person was born, an invisible bond was created between you. Even if they grew up in different places, lived different stories, faced pains that did not cross time, the connection remained alive in the spiritual world. This bond is not carnal. It is not emotional. It is spiritual. That's why, at specific times, you felt like you were being watched, as if someone knows exactly who you are, even without ever having seen you. That's why you dream of faces that you don't recognize, but that give you peace. And on lonely nights, she misses someone she has never met. Because there is an active promise, and that promise was kept by angels, protected by time, and carried by God to this moment. The reunion is not a coincidence. It is a divine mission. Maybe you don't think you're worthy. Maybe you think you've made too many mistakes, that time has passed, that you've missed opportunities. But listen, what is God's is not lost. It just ripens until the right time. And this time, it has arrived now. Type in the comments with faith. This promise is mine. I receive what God has prepared for me. Every word you declare in faith moves the heavens in your favor. During all these years, there was silence. It was not an ordinary silence. It was a heavenly silence. God was not absent. He was preparing. While you thought you were forgotten, heaven was moving pieces, aligning hearts, building maturity, and shaping the spirit of both you and the person looking for you. Now, heaven is saying, the time has come for reconnection. The spiritual clock is ticking the exact time. The angels began to move to activate that which was locked in the unseen world. There are signs that have begun to appear. People from the past who come back to look for you. Repetitive dreams about places, words, or symbols. A sudden desire to start over, even without knowing where. None of this is random. God is opening a breach in time, a divine opportunity. And when God's time comes, nothing can stop it. Not the past, not fear, not wounds, not the enemy. God's will is sovereign, and He has decided to reconnect that which has been set apart for a purpose. Maybe you're saying right now, but how is this going to happen? I don't even know where to start. Don't worry. When heaven decides to act, you just need to be sensitive and available. It is God who guides the steps. He will put meetings, by chance, unexpected conversations, prophetic words in your direction. You don't have to force anything. You just have to believe. Declare with faith in the comments now. I am ready for this divine reconnection. God's time has come for me. His declaration is a prophetic seal. Every word releases movement in the spiritual world. Not everything that happens in your life is a coincidence. There are times when heaven speaks, but the earth is distracted. And you, for many years, have been receiving signals, silent but persistent signals, pointing to that person, that connection, that purpose. Have you ever felt that something was about to happen, and nothing happened? Have you ever had that intense déjà vu feeling with someone you barely know? Or have you ever heard your name called in silence, woken up with a heavy heart, or dreamed of a presence that brings peace, but that you can't identify? These were spiritual signs, coded messages from heaven trying to get your attention. But many times, involved in the struggles of everyday life, by the pain, by the rush, you ignored it. You thought they were just vague thoughts. But now, the Holy Spirit reveals it was not a coincidence. It was communication. That song that played and made you cry without knowing why. That word spoken by a stranger that seemed directed only at you. The number that was repeated. The presence you felt even when you were alone. All of this was part of a larger plan. It was as if God was saying, "It's still standing. What I have promised, I will fulfill. You just didn't understand it yet. But today, your eyes are being opened. Today, the veil is falling. Today, you are beginning to see the traces of God throughout your history." And the question that heaven asks you now is, Are you ready to recognize what you previously ignored? Write in faith in the comments. Now I see. Thank you, God, for showing me the signs. Say this, and allow the Spirit to confirm in your heart all that has been hidden until now. You need to understand something very serious. There are people who are part of your process, but there are others who are part of your purpose. And this person who has been looking for you for 15 years is not just anyone. She carries a spiritual key linked to her final destiny. When God builds a plan, He doesn't do it alone. It connects destinies, intertwines calls, unites souls. And sometimes, in order for you to get where you need to be, someone specific needs to come along the way. This person was sent not only to walk beside you, but to activate a dormant part of your calling. Yes, there is something within you, a talent, a strength, a mission, that will only be fully released the moment that connection manifests. Therefore, the enemy did everything to prevent this encounter. He tried to distract you. He tried to hurt you. He tried to make you give up love, faith, relationships, because he knew, if you meet, something will break in the kingdom of darkness. This person brings answers. It carries an understanding that you need. She has been praying for you without knowing your name. She missed you, even though she had never touched you, because God sealed this meeting ahead of time. Now heaven is saying, get ready, because that role will be revealed. You're not alone. You never were. While you were crying in your room, this person felt an anguish that he could not explain. As you thought about giving up, she felt in the spirit that she needed to intercede for someone. It was you, and now this meeting will be more than a reunion. It will be awakening. It will be liberation. It will be the beginning of a new phase that was already written. Right now, with spiritual authority in the comments, I receive this divine connection. My purpose will be activated. Let this declaration be a seal in the spiritual world of what is about to be fulfilled. Yes, heaven knew there would be resistance. They knew that the enemy would try to confuse, delay, distract. Therefore, heavenly messengers began to manifest themselves in details of their day, through prophetic dreams, through unknown people who said the right words at the right time, through intuitions that saved you from wrong decisions. And you, perhaps, ignored all this, thinking it was a coincidence. But God has brought you to this moment to say, I have sent angels to prepare you for this reunion. They are all around you now. They are working in silence. They are removing obstacles. They are creating opportunities that you do not yet see, but that will soon become evident. These angels are also around the person who is looking for you. They are ministering peace, restoring hope, touching her heart with memories of what she has not yet lived, but has been promised. Do you think that this reunion depends only on you? It depends on obedience to what is being revealed. It depends on your sensitivity to what heaven is talking about right now. God is releasing angels with specific instructions. You'll start to notice clearer dreams, people talking about things that directly touch your heart, repeated signs at equal times, names that come back, memories that rekindle. Don't ignore it. It's the angels trying to warn you. They're saying, it's coming. Get ready. Something big is going to happen. Right now in the comments, with unwavering faith, I receive a visit from the angels of there is a silent war going on all around you. You may not see, you may not hear, but in the spirit world, angels have risen up in His favor. They have been trying to warn you. They have been sending signals. They have put sensations in your spirit that you did not know how to explain. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with your heart racing? Have you ever felt inexplicable goosebumps when entering certain places? Have you ever had strong feelings as if something was about to happen? These were not random moments. They were attempts by the angels to get his attention. They were telling you, something is about to be revealed. Get ready. For years ago, heaven appointed messengers to accompany you. And do you know what their mission is? Lead you to the person who carries the other half of God's plan for your life. But many times, you closed your ears. The pain he suffered, the disappointments with people, the traumas. All of this created a spiritual wall that prevented you from noticing their presence. But now, the sky is tearing down that wall. Angels are more active than ever. They're leading you back on track. They are clearing the noises from your mind, removing distractions, and gently nudging you into that which is eternal. Do you really think it was a coincidence to find this video? It wasn't. It was one of the last alerts, one of the last angelic touches saying, "Pay attention. Whoever you look for also looks for you. Time is running out." The Bible says that angels are ministers in the service of those who will inherit salvation. You have an inheritance. You have promise. And the angels are working so that you don't miss this destiny. Right now with spiritual boldness, "Lord, send your angels. I want to perceive your voice." This phrase is an invitation, an authorization. And when you write, you activate the invisible world to act visibly in your life. Have you ever wondered why you have suffered so much in certain areas of life? Why, even though you tried to do the right thing, were you betrayed? Why did so many doors close when everything seemed to be going well? Why did important relationships end without explanation? Why does it seem that your affective and emotional life has always been the target of the greatest struggles? It was not punishment. It wasn't bad luck. It was preparation. It was protection. It was construction. The pain that haunted you for so many years was not random. It was a tool in God's hands. It prevented you from being stuck in places that were not yours. It protected you from wrong connections that would take you away from your destiny. It has matured you in the spirit, so that you will have structure when the time of promise finally comes. Maybe today you look back and see losses that hurt deeply. People you loved, but who drifted apart. Plans that seemed perfect, but fell apart. Paths that closed right in front of him. And today, heaven reveals to you, "I allowed pain, because it would take you exactly where I needed you to be." God never wastes a tear. Every cry, every silence, every lonely night was recorded. While you were suffering, He was shaping your heart, breaking your pride, teaching dependence, strengthening your faith. The pain caused you to bend over. And when the human being bends, the sky touches the earth. That's when God began to work. At your weakest point, He began to lift you up with force, and now, when all seemed silent, the sky moves. The person you are looking for, and who is looking for you, he also went through this process, because only after pain comes the maturity to live what is eternal. Right now, with faith and courage in the comments, "I get it. My pain had a purpose. I am ready for what comes from God." This confession has power. It turns wounds into doors. It closes cycles of pain and opens paths of glory. The enemy tried to make you believe it was the end, that what was broken would never be rebuilt, that the lost years would not return. that the wasted time would never be recovered. But God has brought you here today to say, nothing is lost when I am in control. Everything that was taken away, everything that was stolen, everything that was destroyed, is being restored now. Time is no obstacle to the Creator of time. What you thought you lost forever, God can bring back twice. And more than giving back what was taken, He is giving you something new, something greater, something eternal. You cried for friendships that broke down, for promises that were not fulfilled, for dreams that died along the way. But heaven was waiting for the right moment to act. Do you know what this moment is? Now, God is restoring your hope. He is renewing His faith, rebuilding His identity, reactivating His emotions. And more than that, He is restoring the bridge that connects you to that person you feel you miss. This spiritual bridge was burned by fighting, distractions, and attacks from the enemy. But the Lord of hosts is rebuilding the path. He is reconnecting the invisible threads that connect you to your destiny. Maybe you said, but it's been so long. My time is past. I've gotten used to loneliness. But God answers you today. I am the God who gives back years. I am the God who resurrects what has been buried. I am the God who makes everything new. Write in faith in the comments now. God is restoring everything in my life. I believe. Say this with authority, because the restoration has already begun. And what seemed lost will become a living testimony of divine faithfulness. There's a reason why you never fully fit in. Even when you tried to live like others, something inside you always told you, you're not from here. You're on a mission. You were separated. From his mother's womb, the sky had already marked his identity. You didn't come into the world by chance. His story was written with purpose, and every detail, including the painful ones, was setting the stage for a prophetic reunion. Yes, you and this person who has been looking for you for 15 years have been spiritually sealed. They were separated to live something that goes beyond the emotional. It is spiritual. It is eternal. It is God's plan. And that's why the attacks were so strong. The enemy tried to make you disbelieve in love. He tried to cool your heart, push you into empty relationships, make you accept less than God has prepared. Because he knew, if this reunion happens, a cycle of light will be released, and spiritual chains will be broken. But the enemy failed. You didn't give up. You survived. And now you're here, listening to that message, because heaven is repositioning you at the center of the promise. This separation is not isolation. It is sanctification. It was God taking you out of certain environments, taking you away from certain people, and saving your heart for the right time. And the right time, this is it. God is saying, I have separated you because what I have for you is rare, it is precious, and it is prophetic. This reunion will be like a watershed. After it, nothing will be the same as before. Because you were not made for crumbs, you were set apart for the full promise. Right now, with spiritual boldness in the comments, I was set apart for the purpose. I am ready to live what God has in store. This phrase is a key. It opens doors. It seals your delivery. It activates its new cycle. For too long, all you've had has been waiting. He waited for answers. He waited for signs. He waited for someone who understood his soul. He waited for cures that seemed far away. He waited for a presence that never came. And over time, the heart began to get used to the silence. But what you may not know is that, while you waited, heaven was preparing. You have not been forgotten. You have been booked. God was not late. He was being strategic. He knew exactly the right time, the right place, the ideal spiritual condition to release that which was promised. And now, something is moving. You're feeling it. There is a restlessness that is not sadness. It is a spirit on alert. It is your heart responding to a truth that is already echoing in the unseen. The wait is about to end. Maybe you're so used to waiting that you don't even know how to react to the movement. But the Holy Spirit says to you now, get up, get ready, take a stand. Because I'm coming with answers. That person who looks for you, it was also prepared. She waited too, and in the same way that you cried nights missing something you didn't understand, she also shed tears, feeling the absence of something she couldn't name. It was you. His absence was felt in her spirit. And now, when all seemed lost, God commands us to approach. The wait produced strength. Waiting produced discernment. The wait produced value. And now, when this reunion happens, you will understand why it took so long. You're going to say, it was necessary, and it was worth it. Don't get distracted now. Don't abandon your faith now. You are meters away from the promise. You are in the final stretch of the spiritual road that leads you to the prophetic destination. Write in faith in the comments right now. My wait is ending. I'm ready to receive what I've waited for so long. This declaration is like a trumpet in the heavens. It announces that you're ready, and when you take a stand, God moves. Before living the new, you need to let go of the old. Before you can receive what you were promised, you need to release what hurt you. And perhaps this is the biggest challenge for many: to forgive. Forgive those who left you. Forgive those who betrayed you. Forgive those who didn't value you. Forgive even yourself. During those 15 years, the wait was not just time. It was also an inner struggle. You accumulated sorrows, silent pains, deep disappointments. He kept wounds that still manifest themselves today in the form of insecurity, distrust, fear of surrendering. But God is saying now, I want to heal you from the inside so that you can live something whole. You can't live a prophetic reunion with a broken heart inside. Healing is not a luxury, it is a spiritual requirement. Because God does not unite only bodies, He unites souls, and He can only bind what is already freed. Maybe you tried to pretend, to forget. He tried to distract himself, to move on, to pretend that it doesn't hurt anymore. But deep down, the Spirit knows. He sees where there are still open wounds, and that's where the touch of heaven comes in. Not to judge you, not to expose you, but to clean you up, rebuild you, restore you. Forgiveness does not mean that what they did was right. It means that you will no longer carry this pain with you. It's letting go of the weight that prevented you from flying. It is to make room for what God has prepared. It is to prepare yourself spiritually to live a reunion that will not be built on ruins, but on healing. And yes, maybe this person who comes to you also needs to forgive you. Or maybe you need to forgive her without even knowing her yet. Forgive not for what she did, but for what life caused you while it still didn't arrive. Forgive the time. Forgive the absence. Forgive the deviations. Because what matters now is not what is left behind. It is what is in front of you. Write with humility and faith in the comments. I choose to forgive. I want to be healed from within. I am ready to live God's new. This phrase is more than a statement. It is the beginning of liberation. It is the first step to living something that heaven has kept just for you. There are meetings that go through, and there are meetings that make an appointment. But there is a type of encounter that goes beyond emotion and moment. It is the encounter that changes the course of life. It is this kind of encounter that heaven is preparing for you. After so many years of waiting, after so much pain, healing, and preparation, God is about to allow two souls to recognize each other in a single look. It will not be an ordinary meeting. It will not be based on appearance, status, or interest. It will be spiritual, deep, inevitable. It will be as if time stopped for a moment to watch the promise be fulfilled. When that reunion happens, you'll feel something you've never felt before. It won't be anxiety. It will not be a doubt. It will be peace. The peace of those who have found something that has always existed, but that has only now manifested itself. You won't need to force anything. You won't need to prove anything. Everything will flow naturally, because it was written before you were born. This person will look you in the eye and feel like they've been waiting for you your whole life. And you will understand, at that moment, that the whole path made sense. Through deserts, the silences, the no's, the tears, everything was necessary to prepare you for this meeting. Because God never gives something precious to those who are not yet ready to receive it. Now you are. Now she is too. Now the sky is ready to align the paths, and when that encounter happens, you won't be the same. It will change the way you pray. It will change the way you see life. It will change your rhythm, your heart, your vision of the future. This meeting will be the turning point of his story. Right now, with spiritual authority and lively expectation in the comments, I receive this meeting that will change my life. I am ready to live what God has written. Declare this in faith. This phrase is the sound of the promise being activated in the unseen world. Do you think all this happened for nothing? Do you think that this 15-year silence was just chance? Do you think God would have allowed you to cry so much, to wait so long, to be molded in fire, to, in the end, not live anything? Of course not. Behind every detail of his story, there was a hidden blessing, a sealed promise, a divine favor being saved for the right time. God did not lose control for a second. You were trained in the wilderness to carry an inheritance that many people could not bear. It was in waiting that his faith matured. It was in solitude that his dependence on God was strengthened. It was in tears that his intimacy with the Spirit was forged. And now, heaven reveals, the blessing is coming, and it's bigger than you imagined. This story you lived was not ordinary, and the reward will not be either. The reunion that is to come is not just a consolation. It is a divine strategy to elevate your purpose and transform not only your life, but that of others as well. This person who has been looking for you for so long carries blessings that are yours by spiritual inheritance. And you, as you find it, will also activate blessings that are with you, but were prepared to be released only together. When purpose is united with God's time, heaven pours out all that was withheld. There are gifts that will be activated. There are doors that will open. There are cycles that will be closed. There are healings that will happen just by the presence of that person in your life. And all that is already on its way. You didn't get here by chance. This story that seemed broken, this life that seemed out of order, it was, in fact, a plan perfectly designed by the hands of the Father. And today, he reveals to you, pain was not the end. It was the frame of the blessing that I was hiding. Write now with faith in the comments, "Lord, I receive this blessing. Thank you for not giving up on my story." Because this act of faith activates the supernatural. What was stuck begins to move when the heart recognizes that God has always been behind everything. From the beginning, heaven had already determined this reunion. It was not a coincidence. It was not just a feeling, nor a blind hope. It was a prophecy, a promise written in heaven, kept by angels and kept alive in your spirit, even when everything around you said otherwise. You survived the wait because your soul already knew. There is something big coming my way. And now the Spirit confirms, the time has come for reunion. It won't be as you imagined. It will be bigger, deeper, more true. That person who was looking for you will recognize you. And you'll know too, because what connects you is not the past, it is the purpose. It is the spiritual attunement that cannot be explained. It is only felt. And when that encounter happens, you will feel the sky within you. You will understand why everything had to happen the way it did. You will realize that no delay was in vain. Every tear has pushed you closer to the promise. Every silence of God was a, "Wait, it's not ready yet." And now, the new cycle begins. A cycle of purpose, unity, emotional and spiritual prosperity, true peace, love that does not wear out because it was born in the heart of God. You will walk alongside someone who carries the same marks, the same deserts, the same calling. And together, you will be a living testimony that God's timing is perfect. Nothing will be the same as before. Because now, you know who you are. And most importantly, you know that the promise will be fulfilled. Write now in the comments, with all your faith, "I receive this new cycle. The time for reunion has come for me." This phrase seals everything that was released here today. It is the key that opens the door to the next chapter of your life. If this message touched your heart, if at any time you felt that God was speaking directly to you, do not ignore this sign. This video did not appear on your screen by chance. It was heaven reaching you at the exact right time. Subscribe now to this channel, because other prophetic messages like this are yet to be released, and you need to be ready. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this too. Perhaps you are the bridge between that person's heart and God's plan. God is calling you to the new, and the new one has already begun.